But first, a near universal accord has come to our shores. At this moment, the country is essentially entirely united in outrage at a company nobody had heard of before that's called AIG. Today, that collective frustration was aimed squarely at one person, AIG's current CEO, Edward Liddy. Now, Mr. Liddy did not write the bonus contracts. He has not been there very long. But he did pull the trigger on paying them out. And today, Mr. Liddy was hauled up to Capitol Hill to explain why. Members of the House Financial Services Committee played the part of angry American mob demanding answers.
I'm now asking you to send us the names of those who received bonuses who have not given them back.
Do you really believe that these are the only people that are capable of doing this job?
This should not have happened, and I honestly believe this is reversible. This is so outrageous.
Pay the $165 million back.
To his credit, CEO Liddy knew that he was walking into a lion's den, where the crowd, of course, would be rooting for the lion. Instead of mounting a fight, he essentially just curled up into the fetal position.
Had I been CEO at the time, I would never have approved the retention contracts that were put in place over a year ago. It was distasteful to have to make these payments.
At this point, even AIG is not defending AIG. That's how unpopular they are. You know it's bad when the only people who will take your side are, well,
people who are working there that are middle-class people are expecting to get this bonus. If they don't get it, maybe they won't be motivated enough to try to help the company turn around.
If we want a company to stay in business doing what it's doing, and we give them the money because if they fail it's calamitous, then why the hell are we complaining and griping about what they do?
Radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh and George W. Bush's last press secretary, Dana Perino. You know how when you're on the moving walkway at an airport, there's that really loud voice in that speaker that tells you you are approaching the end of the moving walkway? The voices of Dana Perino and Rush Limbaugh are the voices that let you know you are approaching the unsustainable liminal edge of American political opinion. But there is something more interesting here in all this death to AIG outrage. Some of those in Congress who are doing the most flamboyant grandstanding against AIG right now are the same people who opposed things that could have prevented this from happening in the first place. Say, bailout-related executive pay limit legislation, for example. Here's Republican Senator Mitch McConnell this week channeling his fake inner populist. He said, quote, "It's shocking that the administration would come to us now and act surprised about these contracts. This administration could have and should have prevented this from happening." You know what maybe could have prevented this from happening? The executive pay limits that the White House was pushing for last month. Remember those, the ones that Senator McConnell opposed?
I think we're all appalled by these, some of these executive salary arrangements and bonus arrangements and perks and all the rest. On the other hand, I really don't want the government to take over these businesses and start telling them everything about what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, why bother? Then there's the jaw-dropping double standard that somehow Wall Street contracts are unbreakable and sacred, even in the context of a public bailout. But the contracts for the auto workers in Detroit, tear them up. Here's Tennessee Senator Bob Corker now.
Well, I do think it's important to know whether these are commission payments for products that brokers have sold or whether this is in fact a bonus. Knowing whether these were contractually obligated to or not is important.
It's important. That's right. I mean, contracts have value. Respecting contracts, that has value, right, Senator Corker, back in December?
They have to agree to have a contract in place that puts them on parity with companies like Toyota and Nissan and Volkswagen and other companies here in our country.
Yeah, rip up those contracts or else. If the American car companies are going to get bailout money, we're going to open up their labor contracts and tear them up and make sure they are rewritten so that American workers get paid as little as they do if they were working for a foreign company. Yeah. How did we get into this AIG outrage mess in the first place? The base level diagnosis is greed gone wild, right? People out of incredible, irresponsible greed with apparently no rules in place to stop them. How can they get away with this stuff? Cue the outrage. Senator McCain, go. Tweet. if we hadn't bailed out AIG, no bonuses for greedy execs. Yeah, those greedy execs, we got to rein them in, right? Senator McCain, circa April 2008?
I don't think, frankly, someone who wants to increase the burden of government regulation and higher taxes has any real understanding of economics.
Take it from him. Heaven forbid there be rules to rein in what happens on Wall Street, right? I mean, what could possibly go wrong? The conservative argument against regulation was always that deregulation would create a lot of wealth. Deregulating Wall Street would allow for all of this great wealth creation that we have experienced as a country. The problem, as we found out, is that A, it allows for all sorts of immense criminality, see Bernie Madoff say. B, it puts the country hugely at risk, see AIG, Citigroup, the whole country. And C, economically, it really only benefits the people at the top. While all of those executives walk away with these giant bonuses year after year after year, take a look at what normal American families walked away with during the Wall Street-fueled deregulation so-called boom. This is median household income. In the 1970s, it rose 4.5%. In the 1980s, it rose 6.5%. In the 1990s, it rose 8.3%. In the 2000s, down 0.6%. Deregulation benefits the people at the top. They get really, really, really rich doing stuff that might otherwise be illegal if there were regulations in place to stop them. We get all the national risk associated with what they are doing. And they get all the cash. No one else actually benefits from it except for them. It doesn't trickle down. No one pays, ultimately, except the rest of us.